Hello and welcome to Circuit Part Zandvoort. I'm joined tonight by my wonderful co-host Zachary Purcell. We are going to be racing for about an hour tonight around these 14 turns in the Netherlands. Discord. Zach, take it away.
Yeah, it's a really tough track. I think it might be tougher than any of the courses that we have on the actual full calendar. But it's a true old school, built in 1948. No sort of easiness with this. There's no runoffs really anywhere, especially since this is the old layout. It's a little bit different in real life right now with some extra runoffs and some extra banking, but this is about as brutal as it can get. It's on the level of Bathurst for sure.
Yes, indeed it is. I tried to take a practice lap before this in preparation, and I didn't make it very far. We're going to go live here on the onboard of Mr. Paul Skip. And Zach, you know a lot about this track. I'm going to have you walk us through when he comes up to his next lap.
Can do. Yeah, he's in the middle of sector 2 right now. Sector 2 is probably the easiest part of the lap. It's the one that at the very least has the least problem areas, but still not easy. A lot of the turns on this track especially aren't like prototypical break in a straight line, apex at one point, get on the gas early. There's a lot of these turns that you hug the inside throughout the whole way, and just try to manage your oversteer without. I mean, some of the oversteer is actually like done with your hands, so you want to make sure to keep it nice and smooth on the throttle, on the steering. But Paul is now coming up to the final turn right now, being around the Ferrari. So I'll run through. This is the longest straight in the lap. It's probably the best passing opportunity. You're going to look for the 100. You're going to brake on the left. You're going to try to go pretty deep, but then hang on the inside. Don't go too wide on the curb here. As soon as you kind of get straight, you're going to do a little dab on the brakes. Head right, don't touch the inside curb, don't touch the outside. No good braking marker for this, but you want to try to stay pretty close inside. If you go too wide, it's going to slow you down. These next couple corners are nothing for the GT3. It's, pretty much flat out. And then we come into one of the most iconic corners, and you're going to look for the end of the curb there on the left. Brake, try to keep. Oh, and he loses. He gets on the gravel a little bit. So you want to try to go out wide, but he unfortunately was a little bit too wide on that one.
Looks like he caught Patrick Ripley up in that as well with his little spin there. Unfortunate for him. I'm not sure if he was on a lap, but.
And of course, the added complexity of that is that since this is a fixed setup, when you tow back to the pits, you have full fuel again. So instead of being able to run off the fuel throughout the entire session, it becomes a lot more difficult because now you have a fully laden car again.
And remember, the setups are fixed here, so they can't change the amount of fuel, even just for qualifying, which is really going to... Whoever gets the longest straight run is going to have the least fuel and the best chance at that pole position.
Like Skip is back out on track on an out lap. If we can pick him up when he gets around to that corner again, just so we can give some context for the rest of the lap.
Of course.
Again, these corners here, flat. He's coming back up to the same one that gave him issue last time. You want to try to take as much speed as you possibly can. Don't brake too much. It's a little bit of a dab. Still, though, hug the inside. Move over to the right because there's a kink left. Under the gantry, hit the brakes. And you can go really fast through this corner. It opens up real wide on the track. Around that sign on the right, you start braking. Keep it really tight in here. And you're not going to go all the way back to the right. You're going to brake before the orange on the right. And you're going to try to take this with as much exit speed as you can, because this is going to be the second longest portion of the track probably at full throttle. You're going to keep an eye on the left side at about 75. You're going to brake and you're going to just attack the first bit of this chicane here. Keep it super close on the inside here. Manage the oversteer. And now you're going to keep an eye on the left side. Probably going to brake around like the 25 mark. Just a small little dab. keep it on the track. If you go wide here, you absolutely will crash, and then it is totally flat out through the final corner and into the final straight.
It's great. It's like a roller coaster of a lap around here with all these banked turns. Of course, now in real life, these turns are more banked than you see here in iRacing. With the Dutch GP coming up around the corner, when is it? September 3rd. That may be the window for iRacing to go and scan it and bring a new scan for everybody to enjoy with all those banked turns and everything new.
Yeah, the changes that they made in 2020 primarily were that in turn 1, which is Tarzan corner, Tarzan Bocht, and then in Hugenholzbocht, which is turn 3, they increased the banking just to increase safety because, I mean, it's a really dangerous track. So for the Formula One cars, they wanted to make it safer. And then they also moved the pit exit to the exit of turn 1 instead of the entrance as it is in the game here with the old layout.
Here we see.
We have some competitive times starting to go up. I mean, we can see Steven and Paul only separated by 600ths up there. Paul Skip, sorry. Paul Boyle does have a good little gap currently, but we should see times continue to tumble throughout the session.
Yeah, Patrick Ripley was only about 2/10 off of Paul Boyle in their practice session, so maybe nope. Patrick Ripley can bring that time down and somewhat match him, or at least catch up to Stephen Thompson and Paul Skip.
Yeah, I would be surprised to not see that time for Patrick go down quite a bit. But of course, he was involved in that collision with Paul Skip, so they both suffered the curse of having more fuel than some of the other drivers on the track right now.
Indeed, they did. Zach Nurnberger, the only driver in GTD tonight, which is rather unfortunate for us as broadcasters. He's set a 137.3, which would put him effectively in 7th place. We've yet to see Brad McComb set a time, and Nick Terrell has a 141.4. He just got home from a kickball game, and he's jumping in with no practice. But I want to thank him for coming out.
Paul Skip just had another incident in that same corner. That corner is a Scheivlock, which is one of the most famous corners on this track. It's been there since the track was created, but it's given him some issues, clearly.
Yeah, there he goes, drifting around that corner. We're not in Tokyo, Paul. We are in the Netherlands.
Yeah, part of the reason that this track is so hilly and all that, it's built straight onto the dunes. The beach is right there. It's closer to the water than probably any other racetrack, and this is just built on those dunes of the Zandvoort beach.
Yeah, I love when tracks are really built into the landscape. Tracks like Spa and even Lime Rock, its older configuration or its prospect configuration that it could have been was all through the forest, and they used all those access roads. And that's something you don't see with the newer circuits today, like Miami, just in a parking lot. So we've really got to appreciate these old circuits. Zandvoort being built in 1940s. It's quite an old track.
Ironically, it was built the same year as Silverstone, which is just on an old airstrip. So they are certainly diametrically opposed on that. But it's certainly a track that has a lot of character. And some of these turns have remained mostly unchanged since its inception, with the exception of putting in more safety measures.
Indeed it is. Right now we are looking at Paul Boyle going down into turn 1. Let's get a little on board of him with Bryce Anderson's favorite view, which would be that of the gyro cam. Paul, of course, driving the BMW tonight. Zach, would you like to walk us through this lap?
Yeah, so currently he's coming back up to that long straight, where, I mean, it's not really straight, but it's flat out for these cars. You're not going to see anybody passing there for sure. At least it wouldn't be safe. Scheivlock, you're braking late. You want to just try to hug this as much as possible. If you go out wide too much, you'll lose a lot of time. This one here is Mastersbocht, and again, like I said, you can just like sling it through there. There's just so much exit space compared to what you have in the rest of this track. This next corner is just a really important one with oversteer. You get really impatient coming around it, and the oversteer is just going to hurt the tires and it's going to hurt your lap times. It'll be interesting seeing, there may be some sends on drivers into this chicane here, Hans Ernstbach. It's the only really heavy braking zone on this track, and it may be one of the few opportunities to try to make a pass. And then again, I think that we should definitely keep an eye here before Ein Leyendeckbach. At that right there, that exit, if you get a rear wheel on that, you're crashing. We do have unlimited fast repairs, and at the very least, it is right next to the pits, but it's not going to help your race.
And no, it won't. We're going to ride on board for him a little bit longer. As we come out of turn 1, and we go into this next sequence, I'm going to show you where the track used to go up until 1999, when they partly restored part of the track and added about a mile and a tenth to it. In the old configuration, the old layout, you would turn right where that little cone wall there is, and this whole section here was not part of the track. They added that to attract more series like DTM and the formulas to come race there and bring back some action to the Dutch dunes.
Yeah, it's a obviously with DTM, it's one that they've really enjoyed coming here in the past. And I believe that the GT3 track record is in a Mercedes, which we do have a couple of the drivers here in the Mercedes. So we can see if maybe they're able to replicate that kind of success, or maybe it will be differently replicated here with iRacing.
Yeah, we do have a few drivers in the Mercedes. Let's see. We have... Looks like the BMW is quite a popular choice as well tonight. We have... Looks like... Who is in a Mercedes?
I believe Brad and Andrew are both in the Mercedes.
We see Brad in the Mercedes there, and Andrew Neary, who does not seem to be coming up. He may be...
Yeah, he is out of the car right now.
Out of the car. He is also in a Mercedes.
Yes, he is in the Mercedes, a silver and orange one.
Oh, that's the scenic view. That's what's causing my troubles. Alrighty. There we go. Alrighty.
A lot of yellow lap times out there right now. Yellow sectors.
Yeah, one of the things that Paul Boyle had mentioned, as we see the end of qualifying come down, Paul Boyle had mentioned that the tires, after just about one lap, are absolutely dead. They have nothing left in them. So we're going to see how that happens, how that plays out.
Yeah, he's 100% right on that. That's when you start to get those oversteer moments, and it just compounds itself on the issue.
Let's take a look at our grid. Paul Boyle takes pole with a 135.6, followed by Stephen Thompson, a 3/10 gap. Back in third is Paul Boyle, followed by Antoine DeCache, Andrew Neary, Brad McCombs, Patrick Ripley, Nick Terrell, and then Zach Nurnberger. It's going to be quite the race tonight. And although there's only 9 drivers, I think we're going to find some wonderful racing action.
And I think it's also important to mention that this has been brought up, is that they may part way through the race throw a competition caution if it's too spread out, just to get them bunched back up and get some more racing for us.
That as well. Zach, I'm going to have you do a quick audio check, if you could, on my levels.
Yeah, it sounded good.
Alright, I'm going to turn up iRacing slightly, just to see if that'll help a little bit. And we're going to close that back down. Alrighty. Should be a wonderful race now. Let's get a nice scenic view before we start our race. How does that sound?
It'll be nice. It's a nice area. It's a beach. People love going there.
Yes, lots of nice beige scenery. I love that color palette, the green, the beige, the different shades of green.
Very evocative.
Yes. Quite enjoyable.
We'll see. I'm not sure if they're doing the full single file. I think they're just doing a normal rolling double file start, and then the restart, if they do one, will be single file. But I guess we'll see when it comes time.
Yes, indeed. At least if we're following the same idea that we followed for the F4 race on Monday, it will be the normal double file, go at it in turn one. No passing, no safeties. It's gonna be full out racing.
Yeah, I think something to watch right at the very start will be being on the outside of Tarzan is not good. It's you end up losing a lot of time trying to go on the outside there. Certainly, if we see some drivers racing into turn one, you're going to want the inside. So might look to see Paul Skip take advantage and immediately leap Steven if he's not able to close that gap.
It's very, very, very possible. Let's see if we can bring up our intervals and see how far apart they become on that start. As you mentioned, taking that outside line with these banked corners, you really got to go around the outside. You're going to travel that extra distance, and it's going to be a little bit different than a regular corner going around the outside because you got a lot more distance to travel. So we're going to see how that ends up working out.
Yeah, I think we'll see, some tough sins potentially into turn one. And then like I'd mentioned before, I think the chicane, which is turns 11 and 12, Hansard's booked. I think that one will probably be the next most likely. Just it being the only hard braking zone, it just gives you the potential to beat somebody on the brakes, especially if they're cooking up their tires.
Yeah, I think tire wear is going to be a big part of this race tonight. I think you'd agree with me, especially after Paul Boyle could not stress it enough. After a few laps, your tires are gone, so we're going to see maybe some drivers will be there, and they'll back off a little bit at the start, try to save those tires, warm them up slowly, and try to take them further into the stint. And
Yeah, I do think it'll be a little bit more temperature management. I think just don't get a lot of brake. The tires don't really get much of a break on this track. I don't think they're going to be changing tires. The tires do last quite a while, but it'll be like who's managing the tires and their temperature like in the moment.
yes, something that I know Paul Boyle is pretty good at taking care of his tires and keeping them in that range where he wants them to be, but I guess we'll really have to figure out how good he can be tonight and see if he can take the win from Pole.
I can tell you from experience from the Pony Express Bathurst event that we did that both the Pauls and Zachary Nurnberger are very good with tire management. So we'll see if others can match that level of tire care.
Yeah. And tonight, this will be the 59th E4A race in Pony Express history. After 5 seasons, going into the 6th season, this is round 0. We're going to see some great racing, and next week we will be here at the same time for round 1 of season 6. And that will be the 60th race of the Pony Express calendar. But here in Zandvoort, in the Netherlands, we're getting ready to go green. All the drivers are onto the final straight now. Safety car is about to duck into the pits. Paul Boyle is going to have control of the pack in just a few seconds now. There goes the safety car. And waiting for the green. There they go.
Steven.
Paul Boyle's got the jump. They're on their way down.
Steven might be able to take the inside here.
On the outside, we see Steven going around. It's not going to pay off for him just yet, but they're still side by side. Steven looking to stay on the inside, but he just can't. Paul Boyle is ahead and keeping that. Everybody seems to have gotten through turn 1 relatively smoothly. No big incidents. It's getting away clean. Nobody's out of the race just yet.
Yeah, I think Steven was able to definitely save his second by having a really good jump off the line. And you could tell that, the drivers behind, everyone's driving very, very clean with each other and very collected for a first lap. The E4A does have a first lap rule, so drivers are probably driving as if that rule is in effect for this race as well.
Indeed. When we go green next week, there will be a no passing rule into turn 1, so everybody's going to be single file, and they will not be able to pass until after turn 1, which is one of our E4A
Paul
rules.
has some overspeed on Steven right now.
Oh, there
Might
goes.
make a move into the chicane.
There goes Paul Skip on Steven, but he can't make it. Can't make it up there in time, and he's gonna have to sit behind for another few corners. As there we see
Steven
Paul
had a
Boyle.
little oversteer moment in turn 9, and that's what got Paul Skip right behind him.
Ah, I did not see that. We were back watching Mr. Antoine Decache. Ooh, there goes Paul Skip.
And Neri got loose there as well.
Paul
That's a good
Skip
save.
and Andrew Neri both surviving. In the background, we see Brad McCombs and Andrew Neri side by side. Who's going to come out on top? Side by side still. Brad has the inside, though, and in turn 1, that is such an important thing, as Brad gets the move done easily. There's Andrew.
Yeah, Paul's lucky to keep his position. Lost some momentum, but that could have been a lot worse for him. It was a good save.
Yeah, after Paul's little rallycross championship that he formed himself, he kept his third, as Zach said, and Antoine Decache is right on his bumper now. Only 0.2 is the gap, and right behind him, Brad McCombs, 0.5 behind him. Really going, really pushing, trying to catch up.
Paul Boyle's looking very comfortable out in front right now. I haven't seen any sort of wiggles or anything that he's had yet. But like he said himself, we got to see how these drivers start to control the car after a few laps when those tires get hot.
Yeah, could it be Steven just backing off slightly to keep those tires in an operating temperature? I'm not sure. Paul Boyle is on his charge to 2,000 I rating this season. He's got that pro card. Now he's looking for the I rating to match it, and right now he's demonstrating that he does have the stuff to be a pro. He is leading this field by about a second so far, over just 2 laps. However, down P4, 5, 6, 7, they're all within a second of each other. The battle for third is separated by about a second.
Yeah, there's really there hasn't been any huge gaps formed between really any of the positions so far. All it takes is just one even minor mistake, and you could lose multiple positions from it.
Definitely. Here we see the nose of Antoine Decache right on the bumper of Paul Skip. I really enjoy this view, as you see just how close they get until the straights, and they fire away again. This is the closest battle on track currently, though. And
Decache seems to have some momentum right now. I think Skip might have gotten a little shaken from the moment he had at the end of lap 1, but he hasn't certainly fallen off of Steven very much, to be fair.
Yeah, he's keeping with it. He definitely has the consistency. He's one of our greater drivers in the league, a member of Team Pony Express. I'm sure he's not out of it just because of that. He will definitely bounce back.
The entire field right now is less than 10 seconds still. So from first to ninth is only 7.5 seconds. And this is a tight track, so it's really hard to follow close sometimes as well.
Yeah, let's take a look back further. We see Patrick Ripley, followed by Zach Nurnberger, our only GTD driver today. All of these other drivers are in the GTD Pro class, which is 2,000 I rating or champions of the Pony Express League. So Zach Nurnberger will be the winner in his own class
Brad
tonight.
McCombs making a move on Decache, sending in turn 1. A little bit of a collision.
Slight tap
Just
there.
a minor little tap.
Let's see that one more time.
That was a big sin. Like I said, it has to be a big sin on the inside in turn 1. I think Antoine probably would have been better defending the inside on that, but maybe he didn't even see Brad coming.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, he did have a lot of overspeed on him there, and he really just made it work.
Yeah, and the cash still, he's, you know, he got passed by Brad, but he's not giving it up yet. He's still hanging right on the back of Brad. Potentially will make a move into turn 1 coming up on the next lap.
Yeah, I mean, we can play a game of you pass me, I pass you all night here. It will not be over until the last lap. You know, every single lap, we're going to see some passes into turn 1, some passes, really those brave moves that we love to see.
Both drivers still with no incidents, but that's not too surprising. Usually if you get a off track here, it's over. So you're forced to keep it on track just by the nature of the track itself.
Yeah, it's similar to Nürburgring, where you know, you got walls all around you, and if you go off, you're gonna have some trouble. Here they're not as tight, but there's not as much of a area to slow down as you would really enjoy.
Caught up to Paul even after the pass on Antoine, especially down that main straight. He looked pretty fast. Maybe like I said, the real life record holder Mercedes was the route to go.
Yeah, that new Mercedes is also very, very popular within the community. As we saw, the Spa 24 was most... Oh, Paul skip. That corner's been causing him trouble
crazy save
all night. Yeah, he saves it,
unbelievable save.
but it's going to cost him 1 position, maybe 2. What can Antoine Decache do? Oh, he's going to drive through easily.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think it's maybe just a little bit too much steering angle into Shy Black, or potentially just a little bit too much speed. You want to take a lot of speed into it though.
Yeah, that rear engine of the Porsche also puts a little too much weight in the back.
Paul went wide again.
Paul
I
seems
think
to
Paul
be...
probably cooked the tires a little bit there. He had another issue with oversteer.
Yeah, he seems to be having some trouble tonight.
That's let Steven really pull a gap behind, but it's grouped up Patrick, Andrew, Antoine, and Brad all right next to each other.
Yeah, we see that battle for 4th, as well as the battle for 3rd, which is super close. Here we see Stephen Thompson has a 2-3 second lead now from 2nd to 3rd, but right behind 3rd, the battle is brewing.
Oh, Zachary Nurnberger spins in turn 1, just a little bit of oversteer.
Unfortunate for him.
Nick Terrell was good to avoid that there.
Yes. Now, Zach, even though he's last, he's still winning, unfortunately, due to the nature of our scoring system.
He gets to be a winner no matter what. he'll get the interview by default.
Indeed he will. Now, next week when we come here, we will have a lot of people in the regular GTD class, as last season our whole field was under 2,000 I rating. This season, some of our field is going to be in the Pro, the 2,000 above, and the others will be under 2,000. So we're really going to have to see how that pans out. There will be 2 separate championships, 2 separate brackets, and a whole lot of fun to watch. I love how everybody's integrated their red number plates, their red wing ends onto their cars. It really
helpful for the viewers.
It looks good for the viewers. It looks professional, looks clean. There's Andrew Neary having a slight moment there.
Yeah, I was about to bring up that he was. It seemed like he really had some pace to attack Antoine, but it's not going to happen this lap after that little twitch.
Yeah, but we see him catching him in the straights. That slipstream helping him out a little bit. It's just a matter.
Straight in a straight line as well.
Yeah, it's just a matter of being on his bumper coming into that corner so you can really capitalize on it.
It looks like Brad has caught up to Steven. Can't quite remember what the gap was last lap, but only 2 seconds. It certainly visually looks like he's caught up.
Yeah, it was about 3 seconds last time we checked, so he's catching him for sure. Brad McCombs is up 3 positions from his initial qualifying place of 6th, which is very, very promising for him.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me too much. He hopped into the qualifying session, we were already like 10 minutes into it. So he barely got any time to get up to speed.
Yeah, Brad McCombs, he's always very fast. He's I'm sure when we get rain, he'll be happy. And we'll see if Mark will throw a few rain races in here. I know you're an admin. What do you think about rain coming to E4A?
I don't know. I think Brad might pester Mark enough that he has to do at least one.
He'll give in. And
Maybe a special event.
special event. Brad had his Christmas event last year, which was wonderful, and I think that'd be a great idea to do it again, but in the rain.
That would be good.
The Charlotte Roval with Radicals and Mazdas.
I wouldn't be surprised if in the chat right now Paul's complaining about the tires again. I noticed in the couple corners where you're really dealing with getting on throttle early, just the car was getting a little bit loose. He wasn't having whole snaps, but the car clearly, viewing from the outside at least, was really just starting to kind of rotate on its own.
Yeah, it's going to be, as we see this overlay here, the time delta that just shows that gap forming. This is how much faster he is than Steven Thompson every lap. He gains about, looks like about a quarter of a second, but these last few laps, his tires seem to be activated because he's gaining a lot more per lap.
We're probably, I would imagine that we're in the pit window right now as well. We're running with 40% fuel in a 60-minute race, so it will be a two-stop.
As we say that, we see Paul Skip in the pit lane.
Okay.
Looks like he took about a 10-second stop. So he may be pitting early to make up for his mistakes and be in clean air, or he had some sort of issue that caused him to pit.
Yeah, this is a valuable track to have. This is certainly a valuable track to have some clear space in front of you, especially if you've made a couple mistakes. Sometimes it's nice to pit on your own and just get out there and just time trial it.
That is one of the greatest ways to make up time, is to be alone, not have to worry about anybody, and really just do your own thing. Take a look at the pit strategy.
What was the alternative, to passing like 4 or 5 people to get to the lead? This is probably a better strategy pick for him in the end.
It definitely is. If we take a look at our pit strategy here, we see that Paul Skip has made his stop, and we will see him cross the line turning blue. He did 7 laps on that tank of fuel.
I would imagine that the most they could do is 3 more laps. They probably are able to do something like 24 or 25 minutes. So within these next couple laps, we'll probably see the whole field come in.
That sounds about right, and we'll have a nice pit strategy game brewing this whole race. It may turn out to be just a lead follow, but we will definitely have a lot of fun watching this pit strategy develop.
For sure. Drivers need to consider right now the undercut. It's hard to pass on track. Maybe try passing them in the pits. For some of these drivers, potentially Patrick Ripley, like we're seeing on the screen right here, is right behind Andrew Neary. Maybe if he pits early, he can hop him. Or Andrew defends the undercut.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we had at the IMSA at Lime Rock, was just you couldn't really see much happening, but the people that were up in the drivers club, and they all were part of the strategy for the team, they all knew that, wow, that was an intense strategy battle, and I think us, with all this info, we're all going to get to watch that play out.
And this is going to be very different from week 1 for E4A next week. That'll be Daytona, and that one has just plentiful passing opportunities. So this one will be very different than kind of race strategy that we get probably next week.
Next week, I think it's just going to be stay behind somebody as long as you can and just follow whatever they do, because you really need that slipstream. You need to work together to catch up or pull a gap on the cars behind.
Well, the gap between Paul Boyle and Steven Thompson has stayed pretty much the same over the last few laps, it looks like. So he's not pulling away, but Steven's not able to catch up any. But Brad still remains that about 2 seconds back from Steven as well.
Yes, it has. We take a look at our little delta overlay here, and we see that the gap is slightly decreased, but it's been in the same range for the past few laps after Paul had that super burst of about a second gap. And then if we take a look from
There he
Stephen
went a little wide
Thompson,
there.
oh, Stephen Thompson goes off slightly, which is going to cost him time to Brad McCombs behind, who's now less than 2 seconds.
Harry just had a moment as well, with Patrick right on him.
Oh boy, we have all sorts of stuff happening now. Wow.
Patrick is right on Andrew Neary coming into the final corner here. If he has enough momentum, he could try to make a move.
Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. We see Patrick Ripley's been decreasing that gap ever so slightly every lap. We're going to see him go into turn 1 here. Doesn't look like he's close enough for a move, and he's not. He's going to stay behind. But definitely brewing in the next few laps is that pass right there.
Yeah, Andrew gets that slipstream from Antoine in front, and I think that saved him there.
For sure. We take a look at our lap time graphic here, and Patrick Ripley has been faster the past 3 laps by about 0.2. And he's right on him now. It's only 0.3 separating the two. So with that slipstream down the back straight, I think Patrick has a very good shot into turn 1.
I gotta say, Patrick does have a very complicated livery.
Yes, I
Clearly,
did.
there's a lot going into that one.
I made that one for him today. He asked me for a Red Works Ferrari, and I said, well, what do you want on it? What logos do you want on it? He said, no, just a red Ferrari. So I slapped on our wonderful number plate decal made by Terry Cogger Jr. and painted it red, paint bucketed. Done in the span of about 15 seconds.
It definitely looks red.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a fan. Antoine, he always runs that BMW, and I'm definitely a fan of the classic BMW color stripes.
Yes.
Almost a requirement with that car.
Yes, indeed. I don't know if I've ever seen Antoine out of the BMW. It's kind of synonymous with him now. Patrick Ripley, though, he's 0.6 back by the time they get to the front straight. Not ideal for him.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a loss on time on that lap.
I'd like to follow the sectors for this next lap to see where he's losing that time. He's faster through Sector 1.
This must be the lap that they come in for fuel, I would think. Unless maybe I'm doing the math wrong in my head.
I don't even remember. It's been so long since I paid attention to GT3 that I don't remember how long a stint is. But you say 40
there is a lot
minutes.
of off throttle in this lap, to be fair. So maybe they're able to stretch it a little bit further than I had initially expected.
Paul Skip just went off track for about a second. Let's see what happened to him. Just overshoots it out of that bank turn, and he's alright, but he lost a tiny bit of time.
Just a little happy on the throttle.
Back to Patrick Ripley, though. He loses about 1/10 through sectors 2 and 3, or 0.2 through sectors 2 and 3 collectively. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the nature of the corners and that dirty air that just doesn't let him get it, or what. But
well, I have seen in previous laps there's been a couple little wiggles from the cars in front, and they seem to have been a little bit more stable over the last couple laps. Andrew and Antoine.
yes.
I'm surprised we haven't seen any drivers go off there in that second to last corner yet, but I think they know to be wary there.
It's definitely an easy one to overshoot and say, oh, I can make this, and then all of a sudden you're in the gravel. It reminds me, oh, you see Andrew Neary pulling out, looking to make a move on Antoine Decache.
Oh, and he scared on Antoine to go wide, but then he went wide himself and couldn't take advantage of that. That was an opportunity for him right there.
Yeah, now Patrick Ripley gains 0.2 just through Sector 1 because of that little mistake there. But these three are all back to back to back. Brad McCombs up in 3rd place also. He's only 1.7 seconds behind Stephen Thompson. So that's enough. Like, you make a slight variation in your pit stop. You take a little less fuel. You brake a little too early for the entry. That can be easily made up for Brad, and he can be past him by the time they get out of the pits.
Top 3, still pretty much the same gap as they have been since like lap 4 or something like that.
all running very similar laps. Here we see Patrick Ripley, sector 1, 2, and 3. He's made up about a tenth or more.
Right on, Andrew.
I'd say it's about time for Patrick to come across.
Something this lap.
Yeah, he has definitely unlocked the secret here. I'm not sure if it's going to be too late for him to unlock this secret, and he's going to have to go into the pits, though. Because even if we don't do our calculations right, it should be sometime pretty soon. So...
yeah, it is set up to be a two-stopper, and we're almost to halfway through the race, so... either it was set up wrong, or they should be coming in this lap or next lap.
Yeah.
Still the leaders haven't come in. Oh, wait,
there goes
Brad McCollum.
Brad's into the pit lane. Although, this looks like Patrick's time, maybe. Not yet, though. He lost
so
just...
Let's do, check the pit stop time and see if Brad maybe short fuels in anticipation of trying to undercut Steven in that pit cycle.
Yeah, it looks like Paul Skip spent about 35 seconds in the pits. We're going to have to see where Brad comes out on that chain there. And we'll see that very, very shortly. If we look. Brad McComb is dropping down to 7th, however, in his pit stop. We'll see also after these pit stops equal out, we'll see if Paul Skip could make anything of that early pit. Because remember, he pit on lap 7. As Zach Nurnberger is also into the pits, I believe.
Yes. Oh, Pat! Oh, Andrew's holding the middle of the track to try to be defensive and not lose too much time. Patrick came very close to him there.
Yes, we've been watching them the whole time. As iRacing deems the most exciting, I'd say they're most exciting. Patrick Ripley, right on the bumper of Andrew Neary, going into the last sector now.
It almost seems like that Ferrari's just not fast enough in the right places. That maybe over lap it's fast, but it's not fast in the places where you can get by.
Yeah, I mean the Mercedes is always one of the faster cars in a straight line, but here we see
and they're both going into the pits.
Both into the pits. Antoine Decache stays out. Ooh, everybody's hitting something. As we see a lot of contact, hear a lot of contact happening. I'm sure we're gonna see a little bit of optional repairs going. I see Andrew Neary's got the cone in his wing.
That's a little bit of extra weight.
Oh, there it goes. It's despawned, but that's pretty funny, actually. But here we see them both in the pits. I wish I could...
Top 2 and Antoine. Obviously, potentially Brad is still net P3, but the top 2 and Antoine stayed out. Considering that both of those guys pit last lap, probably keep an eye on all of these guys pitting as well.
Yeah, here we see Paul Skip took about 10 seconds worth of fuel, as Brad McCombs took 18 seconds, and Zachary Nurnberger took about 17 seconds of fuel. So a lot of different strategies are going on right now. I'm not sure what Paul Skip's plan is, however. I can't figure out quite what he's doing.
It could be a tire thing, for sure, tire temp.
Yeah, trying to stay back just in that clean air so he can drive how he pleases, but not too far back. I'm not sure how many pit stops each of them have to take now. I'd assume that Paul Skip...
Past halfway now.
Paul Skip... Oh, into the pits goes Paul Boyle. I'm assuming...
I think everyone has to here.
Antoine Decache will be following him. There goes Stephen Thompson in as well.
It's potential. We'll see. I know all of those top 3 there are going to be keeping it in mind, but potentially they could save enough fuel to only make it a one stop, and that would just kill all of these drivers who pit early.
I hate to interrupt you, but Paul Skip has looped it once again in that same corner that we've seen him have trouble with so many times tonight. I'm not sure.
Drive black again.
I'm not sure what his troubles are with that corner. Is it too much rear end of that Porsche? The weight's just not where it needs to be? Is it?
It looks, it looks like I'm watching his onboard, and it just really looks like the car is barely sitting on the ground, and he's having to do lots of counter steering both ways, and then inevitably it just snaps.
Yeah, it's just the balance of that Porsche, not meant for this track. So far, it seems like the BMW has really what you need for this track, followed by the Mercedes. The Ferrari does not have that straight line speed that you need. Although here we see Patrick Ripley out of the pit cycle. Now we see him only 4/10 behind Antoine Decache, as Andrew Neary is down in 8th place with a 44-second stop. I believe that he took tires there.
Interesting. It may have been an accident, but maybe he has some sort of idea that the tires won't make it all the way.
I mean, I had assumed that the tires would make it, although if we take a look at our track temp here, our track temp is, if I can find it real quick, our track temp is 100 and something. Let me hide this.
Yeah, 38 Celsius. I don't know. In freedom units, I couldn't give it to you.
It's 101 Fahrenheit, which is
hot.
It's not super hot for iRacing. We've seen hotter temps, but it is a hot track. So we've seen in regular E4A races, the tires can go almost 140 minutes, just barely, however. Whereas we've seen. Go ahead.
What should be specifically mentioned is that the for the E4A races, at least with last season, we set the temperatures to low temps so that the tire wear was less. So I think the temperatures were set to 60. So I mean, a track like this over 100 is going to be very different conditions than these drivers would have had last season.
That is very true. However, if we take a look back to you and I were both on the same team for the Spa 24, the track temperatures towards the end and at the beginning were around the hundreds, 98, 99, and we were able to triple stint them. So I'm not sure if it's a matter of not thinking the tires are going to go to the end. Either Andrew Neary took them, accidentally, or it's just a comfort thing for him.
Well, right now, Patrick has not stopped his attack on the front engine cars in front of him. Oh, they threw. Oh, that.
There's the yellow.
Caution.
As
Patrick is not going to be happy about that.
No, he will not be. As the field spreads out now, almost 18 seconds is the gap from 5th to 6th. The host, Zachary Nurnberger, has decided to throw that yellow, bunch everybody up, and get racing again. We saw this last week in the fun race at Okayama.
Yeah, he was sizing up a move right then into turn 10, and then the yellow was thrown.
Yes, indeed.
So he just got a little unlucky there.
Although we see
pitting
Paul Boyles into the pits.
Okay, so maybe they don't feel confident on fuel.
Stephen Thompson under the safety cars, into the gravel, into the wall. What happened there? I was just watching, but I didn't catch it exactly. Stephen Thompson, maybe not paying attention too much, just lost the rear end, understeered, oversteered at the same time, and he went off track into the wall. He's not going to be super happy about that, although he can dash into the pits, get that fast repair done, and not lose too much under safety car.
I don't even know if he has damage. I mean, I would have thought he would, but I don't see any damage on his car. And what a time to crash too, under a safety car,
Yeah, that's uncharacteristic for Steven, as he's a very high-rated driver. Although he is still leading this race.
Yeah, he is allowed to keep that position because it was under safety car. Very interesting, though.
Let's take a look at that pit strategy now. Let's see how long Paul Boyle spent in the pits there. Wouldn't
have been long.
I don't believe we'll be able to see it until after he crosses the line. But he pit just the lap before this, so I'm not sure what his plan there is. Possibly.
I think that he's worried about the I think they may not have fuel for a white flag.
That is very, very possible. It's going to be quite close. I mean, they took what? They pit at 25, 26 minutes. So it'll be.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I've been looking at the elapsed time, which includes the pace lap. Yes. Okay, so that definitely is a two-pit. That's where I was getting confused.
So it's possible that Paul was just trying to cover off some sort of splash and dash there and did it early on. However, if we throw another...
Well, yeah.
If we throw...
Why not? It's a safety car. It's the best time to pit.
Yeah, if we throw another caution, however, which I doubt we will, but if we do, that could screw him up dearly. Paul Skip, who pit on lap 7 with an interesting strategy, is up to P5 now, and he has a great chance to make that back up. Cool his tires down under the safety car, as he was having a lot of trouble with them, and hopefully have a fresh start this time.
Yeah, it's not too surprising that you're not watching these drivers doing a bunch of weaving and stuff. They didn't at the start of the race, and they're not doing it in this safety car period either. I don't think they really want to put that much more temperature in the tires.
That is a wonderful point. I, if it wasn't such a big controversy and such a relevant topic, I think we might see a few of those drivers trying to dip their tires into the grass. I mean, if it still worked at this point.
No, they have patched that out now.
Yes. But if it was still in the game, you may see a few people trying to dip their tires into the grass, unrealistically cool those tires down. Into the pits, we see Steven Thompson, Patrick Ripley. Everybody's into the pits. Is this
Except for the 2 people who already did. I could be, maybe not, though.
is this like a thing where they go through the...
Paul Boyle's pitting, yeah.
What's the plan here? I've never seen this before, where every single person pits under the yellow flag. There's going to be a lot of scrambling up going. Paul Boyle, I think...
Antoine DeCache did not pit.
Pitting once more, just to cover off that splash and dash again. You say Antoine DeCache did not pit. He's out there following them. As we see on the track map, every single person is into the pit lane. This is something I have never seen before. This could play out wonderfully. Tyler Watts says...
Interesting, too. There'll be a race out of the pits on this, too. I mean, I'm fairly certain that iRacing does not maintain your position once you go into the pits. Like, it's an actual race out here.
Yeah, we're going to see the field shake up after that. Paul Skip falls to the back, although he had to take a lot more fuel than anybody else did as he pitted on lap 7. So his once P5 is now down to P8, but he's going to be in an interesting fuel strategy, although it seems to be neutralized at this point. Tyler, we don't have any surprises for you because that's not currently working, unfortunately, but stick around, buddy.
Hey, I'm trying to figure why iRacing is making everyone go by Paul Boyle.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. I'm listening to the voice comms here. He pit in closed pits, so I gave him a drop to the end of the field.
The classic EOL, and if you wreck somebody on the lap 1 of an E4A race, that's what you're gonna end up with.
You'll experience it.
Yeah. I was almost one of them in season 4.
I earned one in Suzuka.
Yeah, Suzuka was not a fun race for me. I'll tell you that for sure.
You know, just looking at some of these cars around, you know, there's some fun liveries that these drivers have. I know that Paul Boyle recently moved teams from Team Pony Express to Doge Squad, so he said he had to rush to get some Pony Express logos off his extremely rainbow car.
Yes, his Doge Squad Racing, their kind of whole brand is, I'd like to sum it up in a non-offensive way as 2011 internet. Does that ring a bell? Rainbows and the Doge, which is obviously quite an old image.
And Paul Skips, John Player Special, he has that livery on a bunch of his cars, and it's always one of my favorites. Black and gold is just it. To be fair, black and gold was my high school's colors, so I do have a special fondness, but it's just a really good looking combo. That John Player Special.
Yes, I do indeed miss the GTE version of that car. However,
it's fantastic.
That was Pony Express themed, but it was John Full. As I believe we're probably about to go racing once again. as the safety car will probably dive into the pits here. Steven Thompson leads the field now, followed by Patrick Ripley, and then Nick Terrell, Andrew Neary. Zach Nurnberger's found his way up.
It's not pitting.
All right, we're gonna go around.
One more lap.
Gonna go around for a yellow. So forget I began my intro. But as I was saying, Zach and Paul Boyle are back into the pit lane. What is the strategy? Surely
Worried about the fuel, I guess. This is like a NASCAR strategy.
I mean, surely they can make it to the end of the race. If not, why wouldn't everybody else pit?
This is a very NASCAR pit each lap kind of thing.
Although,
look at that. That was like a 1 second stop.
Was it just some sort of drive-through?
Potentially, but I don't know why Zach would have pit as well.
I don't know. Now we see the pit strategy graphic is all sorts of funky.
Yeah, it is. Confused at what's going on.
It can't decide what's happening. Oh, I didn't even notice Nick Terrell's Spaceballs livery. That's a great movie. I Heart Uranus.
Oh, I noticed there the ludicrous speed. Yeah, I was mostly just looking at the back. I didn't catch the. That's a great reference there.
Yeah.
And of course, Zach Nurnberger's McLaren livery on the back.
The McLaren
draws attention to the extremely overdone flame backfire that they have on that car's model. Telling you it's not a flamethrower.
As we actually cut to that, not a flamethrower.
It's basically constantly running.
As you'll see when he lets off the throttle. There you go. Just if you want to grill a hot dog, just throw it behind Zach. Just constantly on. It's amazing. Let's cut to the blimp. I always love a great blimp view.
I'm sure that these drivers are gonna maybe have a little bit of a difficulty getting going again. I mean, I can imagine being drawn into a little bit of a lull after it's been like 5 laps under the safety car. If nothing else, this should have solved the fuel woes just with how long that we're pacing.
Yeah, surely we'd be going green this lap, and if not, I'm not sure what we're doing.
The iRacing, it is the safety car is too long. It always is. And in the past, when we've done, fun little like cautions, we've usually had to like reduce by a lap manually.
Yeah, I'd expect Zach had done that when everybody was in line, but I suppose Zach had to pit, so he didn't want to mess himself up. Yeah. So now that everybody, I feel like
see, none of these drivers are weaving.
Yes, they don't want that heat in their tires, but I would assume that we'd go green this lap now that everybody's caught up. I don't think anybody has to pit. If they do, I will be very surprised, however.
It would be very funny at the very least.
It would be. Take the sectors there. They are rather long at this point.
We'll see how Steven's able to... Again, this will be single file, so it'll be hard for Patrick to make a move, especially as we've kind of established that the top speed might be an issue, so... See, if the safety car dips in, you can take it from here.
See, yeah, there it goes. Steven Thompson now has control of this field. And there he goes. He's off. Single file start. Andrew Neary with a great start. Lots of side-by-side action. Paul Skip and Antoine DeCash. And Brad McCombs looking up the outside. Can't make anything of it. Andrew Neary is going to hold on. And he's going to keep that inside line. Was he ahead of...
DeCash seals off McCombs.
And Nick Terrell can't hold on. He's demoted to P4. Paul Skip up to P5 now after his incidents earlier on the race. That full course yellow really helped him. We got Antoine in the background.
Oh, he might send it. Oh, he thought.
He thought about going for the risky move there.
Oh, he's got the overspeed.
Oh, there he
He's got the
goes.
overspeed in the major.
On to Antoine
He's gotta
Cash.
get here. He just didn't quite go late enough. He was
There they
a
go.
little bit too timid.
Very tight corner here, tighter than you think. Paul Boyle, after leading for most of the race now, is in 8th place. Very unfortunate for him, as I would assume that he would look for a better result. Although that end of line penalty that he took does not help him out.
This track especially. Oh, I just can't believe that Brad wasn't able to make that one stick.
Yeah, that
I
was
think he just was being giving a little bit more room than he needed to.
Yeah, that was a great move if he had stuck it. Oh, Antoine de Cash.
Keep an eye on Oh, I was about to say he seemed like he was going fast. He was going too fast.
Yeah, into the dirt for a dip. Now Brad McCombs has a run on him.
Break him here.
He has the inside line. Can he make it work, however? Looks like he's got it. Antoine de Cash is just going to back off and let him have it. He does not want to take the outside and risk losing that position to Paul Boyle.
Brad could easily seal that off. Yeah, he had that.
As soon as you're side by side and you have the inside, that corner is as good as yours.
Neri is on Ribley. Could he also potentially make a move in the shy black here? I don't think so, but he's close enough. He might think about it.
Andrew Neri looking for that P3, slightly going off with those rear wheels, just tapping the grass on corner entry there. Let's see if that ever
Doesn't kill you.
hampers him. Does not kill you, but it could be something that gives you a slight scare.
The car is looking super stable right now. Watching through these acceleration zones, I'm not seeing any sort of pivoting at all.
Yeah, he's in great control of his tire temperatures right now on Team Good Squad. That's supposed to say Goon Squad, but I believe that's a prohibited word on SDK.
Oh, interesting.
At least from what I gathered. But Neri really in control of his tires right now. Right on Patrick.
Neri and McCombs here into the straight.
Let's take a look back to the TV camera.
Both of these guys can. I don't think Neri's going to be able to get it, but McCombs has some speed on Skip. Will Skip go defensive?
Brad pulls out, looks for it, goes back in. Nothing gonna happen there.
Not quite as close as he wanted, but he might have just been pulling out to get some clean space to break in.
Yes, indeed. But all over the field now, cars are tight as can be with a 5-second gap through all 8 cars.
Tiny tap between Brad and Paul.
Yeah,
Tiny tap.
they are getting close. Very, very close.
He's getting a little. There he's getting into he got in the grass there again in shy black. This time on the inside.
Looks like Antoine de Cash got past Paul Boyle for P7.
Oh, Boyle's making it.
They're duking it out.
Boyle's spotting back.
There they are back there. Paul Boyle on the inside. Antoine Cash has to go the long way around. Paul Boyle's going to take that line and keep it way wide. Trying to go around, looking for the switchback. Can't make it work.
The acceleration. He just doesn't. He's not going to be able to get enough of a draft down here.
Doesn't have it.
Oh, that was close. They came really close to touching there. BMW battle.
Keep an eye on Brad, however. He's close. We see Paul Boyle in the background. He's close. I don't know where to focus on. It's such a tight field at this point. We have
Brad right now has a little bit of a disadvantage just because Paul is going to have a good slipstream from Nick.
Yes, indeed he does. There we see in the background Paul Boyle looking to get by. Paul Skip pulls out. Can't really make anything of it, but Brad McCombs sees that as an opportunity, and he's right on the bumper now.
You can't race much through that section, but and he's trying to go outside. I cannot believe that.
He's looking for the speed.
Didn't work.
Yeah, Brad really wants this position. He's looking all over the track. Do you think he's brave enough?
That move is a little more doable in the current configuration of Zandvoort, but not quite so much. And they touched a couple times.
Oh my, they are right on each other. Brad is all over this position. He wants that P5.
Not in the Paul's favorite corner either.
Oh, yeah, Paul definitely has to lift for that now. He's learned that lesson almost, what, 4 times now. All super tight within this 5, 6, 7, 8 range here. Zach
We're
Nurenberger.
watching Andrew, start to attack Patrick, and Patrick's now caught up to Steven somewhat. That gap for the lead is starting to drop, I think.
Oh, for sure. Patrick Ripley.
Oh,
Oh!
that was a late.
Oh!
He missed his breaking point.
Let's see that
He
one
just got
more
a little
time.
distracted.
Oh, Paul Boyle not paying
Oh,
attention.
and
Right into
Antoine
Antoine
just
Cash.
gets stuck in and he just gets sent to a. He can't like drive around anywhere. It's completely.
Oh, Paul Boyle's around
so
as
it's a
well.
bummer.
Let's see. Andrew Neary's in the pits as well. Paul Boyle crashes. What happened with him?
It was the second to last turn. I said we were gonna see at least one. It was gonna happen eventually.
Just too much. Gets into that grass. Into the wall. Let's see who's in the pit lane now.
Paul Skip also pit. He has damage. Paul's rear left is
Every
broken up.
within 1 lap, 4 people are
What
into
did
the
we miss?
pits. Let's try to find Paul Skip's problem.
Didn't even catch it.
I don't know where it is. It doesn't show up on my little. Here we go. Paul Skip went off track. This ought to be it. Oh my!
Oh wow! He flipped.
Oh my!
Oh my!
What drama here in the
Okay.
final 15 minutes of this race. Okay,
Wow.
somebody went flying. I'm not sure who that
Neri.
was. Andrew
Neri
Neri
got
went
hit
flying.
Neri lost it in the last corner.
Oh!
It was just completely across the track.
To
He
the
got sent
moon.
30 feet into the air.
Brad McCombs gets hit, but he can't make it in the pit, so he's going to have to go all the way around again. What chaos. They have unlimited fast repairs, so it's not a huge deal, but they do lose that time to the pack, and I'm sure the likes of Neri will have to pit. Actually, no. They're both back out on track, although Paul Skip did have to tow, and Antoine Decache got stuck in the pit wall, I believe. So
Yeah, that's the unlimited fast repairs doesn't mean that you get an instant tow. So that's a killer.
yeah, what action we're experiencing. We got 13 minutes of racing left, almost 12 minutes now. And certainly
Don't discount potentially them throwing another yellow too. It wouldn't surprise me with what happened there and everyone being apart. So maybe after the tows are done, they might throw another yellow.
that's also very possible. We see Patrick Ripley now, however, 7/10 behind Steven Thompson. Patrick Ripley, 1100 I rating. However, he's a pro because, he's fast. Was he a champion at one point?
Patrick Ripley? No, he was not. But
Was he above 2K?
he has been in the past. I'm almost certain of that.
That'll do it.
He also gets the unfair advantage of being being in real life motorsport.
Yes, Patrick Ripley, you ask him about anything. I mean, he's done that. He works for WEC, he works for IMSA. Well, not for
The
them, but
Multimatic team with the Mustang GT4
yeah.
entry.
Yeah.
Oh, Brad McCombs a little bit loose. He wanted to make a move on Terrell, but you can't use that much throttle on the outside there.
But yeah, Patrick Ripley, I mean, he races in an LMP cockpit. Was it LMP1, I think, or is it P3? I want to
I
say
don't remember, but yeah, it's an old chassis thing.
I believe it was P1 because I thought P3 for the longest time, and it was 1. So, but he races in an actual tub of a LMP1 car with his little VR headset and everything. He's I don't even know how he got that in his house, to be honest.
We'll see if that puts him in the right mindset to get the win from Steven today. Only 10 minutes remaining. 10 and a half minutes.
Yeah, 10.5 minutes remaining. He's 9/10 back, but we're looking at Brad McCombs right now, who is 4/10 behind Nick Terrell. He's looking to take that
Nick
P3.
also joined. He joined pretty late as well. He said he had his kickball game. So him and Brad both were ones that barely got any time in the car at all. So it's interesting to see what speed they've gotten up to.
Yeah, Nick Terrell, of course, he came back. I think, what did he have? Did he even have time to put in a qualifying lap? I think so. But like you said,
I think he barely made it into the start of quals. Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, both of them, both jumping in with little to no practice. So a wonderful sight to see both of them in P3 and P4. As we see Patrick Ripley here on Stephen Thompson now. The gap is 0.6. It's kind of fluctuating. But back to Brad McCombs. It's kind of
Yeah, I mean, the gap was 1 second at the line last time, so
yeah.
It's getting feisty.
We'll bring up our trusty little delta here. We see our graphic. The gap over the past few laps. It's
The big question is, do they have to pit again? We're confused on that pit strategy that they're all running with that safety car. Do they need to pit again? That's 10 minutes to go. I'm very interested to see if any of these drivers don't need to and can get a win just from that.
Yeah, this is what our pit strategy looks like at this point. Patrick Ripley pit the same time as Stephen Thompson did last.
Brandon Combs is right on Nick.
At this point, almost every single person is on the same strategy in the top 4. A little variation coming in P5 overall, but GTD leader, of course, by default, Zach Nurnberger. Other than that, Paul Boyle on a different strategy, Andrew Neary, Paul Skip, and Antoine DeCache, all different strategies as they had their little, space adventure in the final turn.
Has tried that a couple times now, going a little bit wide in Hugo Holtzbach to try to get like a bigger run down into Scheiblack, but it's just not working for him. I don't think that there's really enough space to try that. But here, he's going to try to take a different line as Nick gets defensive, and this one could be more of a likelihood. I think maybe, he gets into the grass, it's going to hurt him a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to see that new scan of Zandvoort come. I know it's not a super popular track, but I loved on the F1 games where that banking was there. You could really take a different line and use that overspeed to make that pass. So
yeah, those moves he was trying would be a little bit easier, in Hugo Holtz with the update.
Yeah, the heavier banking allows him to take a higher speed while also taking that longer way around. But I guess we'll have to see.
It is confirmed there in the comments that Patrick Ripley was a driver who requested a pro card. He is not over 2K and he doesn't have a championship, but drivers are allowed to request pro card. And that's decided by the admins if that driver should be racing in that higher class.
Yes, I was just catching up on the comments as well. Dennis is in the chat, along with Mark on the Pony Express account. So I did know you could apply for a pro card. I just didn't expect Patrick to have applied for one. Well, I shouldn't say expect is the wrong word, but didn't think that he did.
Paul Boyle's another one who also applied for a pro card, I know.
Yes, he did apply, and his plans are to crush that 2,000 barrier in the time coming up very soon. So good luck to Paul in that. Yeah, I think he's sitting at around 1,800 at this point. Oh, and speaking of, the man himself has some sort of issue. Yeah, just a little bit of understeer or oversteer. I can't tell which. It's kind of like the car's just sliding, and he has to tow. He just gets too far in and hits that wall.
Yeah, he's out of the session. I think that was the mood killer for him.
Yeah, after a long race.
He says in the comment there, same thing for PV2. He's like, yeah, I already got you, Paul. Don't worry. I know your situation.
Yep. So now,
whoa,
Brad McCombs and Nick Terrell. What happened there? I didn't catch. I was looking at
Nick
my
just
comments.
got into the grass.
I just saw big action. So Patrick Ripley now. Let's see here.
Nick, he tried to stay in the gas. He shouldn't have stayed in the gas. He might have been able to survive if he lifted. Oh man.
I thought that he had come together with Brad McCombs, but no, he just drove right past. Unfortunate for him. Brad McCombs is going to take that third place. Zachary Nurnberger, our only GTD driver tonight, is actually going to take P4 overall as it stands, with just 5 minutes of racing left. 5 minutes and 3 seconds.
Well, no, Nick's driving. He's going to try to limp it.
He's going to lip it home, or he's going to try to stop in for that fast repair to make it a little easier, as he has a minute and 14-second gap behind him.
True.
So I guess our focus now should be on the Canadian, the Canadian Patrick Ripley chasing down Stephen Thompson here. The gap has
The
gone
Hoosier,
down.
Stephen Thompson.
The Hoosier of Stephen Thompson. The gap has increased now, not gone down. As we see Stephen Thompson slightly pulling away over the past few laps. Or I guess this lap. I should say.
Yeah, Stephen's last lap was a 1:36.7, which is the same qualifying lap that Patrick Ripley did, actually.
So it definitely is going to switch it up. Brad McCombs is into the pit lane. Possibly running out of
Maybe
fuel.
cool. Maybe.
I'm not sure. Zach Nurnberger, however, may have a P3 overall. It's looking like he's going to pass. Will he have to pit later on, though, is the real question here. Let's bring up that.
In the E4A race on Monday, he literally did run out of fuel at the line.
Yeah, I've done that in the season opener at Lime Rock last season in E4A. Mr. Paul Boyle actually stole that P3 from me, which sucked. But here's what the pit strategies look like right now. And Brad McCombs pitting pit on the same lap as Stephen Thompson, Patrick Ripley, and Nick Terrell. So I'm not sure what's going to come. I think that Stephen Thompson and Patrick Ripley all have to pit. Both have to pit.
I would have
Or
thought if Patrick needed to, he would have tried an undercut at this point. So I would have to think that they're able to stretch it to the end. But
is that
maybe he's just doing what Steven does.
Is that just a safety thing for Brad? Does he think, oh, maybe I can make it, maybe not? Or is it Stephen Thompson and Patrick Ripley trying to chance it and, like, you know, all the way? I'm going to make
they're
it.
certainly the ones that would be more risky, you know. Brad wasn't going to catch him on track, so I mean, yeah, maybe it was a fallback plan.
Yeah, I mean, he has that safety. Oh, well, I mean, actually, no, he doesn't. He is now a few laps down. Let's see how long he took that pit stop for, real quick, just to see how much fuel, get an idea how much fuel he took. So, let's see. Brad McCombs. It has not updated just yet, because he has not completed the lap. But once he does come across that line in about 5 seconds, we'll see how long and how much fuel he took.
Ripley looks closer than he has been for a while. Oh, and Steven goes a little wide. Ripley's going to be able to make a move. He's going to make a move in the majors.
Side by side.
He's giving him plenty of room, but he's got the inside here, but then that's going to be the outside on the next turn.
Oh, he's ahead for the time being.
One mistake. That's all it took was one mistake, but Steven can absolutely fight back right now. Theorized that the BMW has more top speed. We'll see going into Hans corner here.
Very unfortunate.
Didn't have the drive.
As we see, Zach Nurnberger went off track for 4 seconds, and Nick Terrell was able to take back that overall P3, although that battle is still going as well.
In a damaged car as well. So maybe we'll see if Nick has if his car is still able to defend from Zach or not.
And Brad McCombs also crashed. I'm not sure where. I'm not sure when. I don't really want to look at the replay as we see this battle develop. But
yeah, I don't want to turn away from it.
We will take a look at that later as we approach the penultimate lap.
Steven much more confident on the brakes and the Tarzan bar.
Steven really sliding that car through there, though. I don't know if you caught that,
A little
but
bit of aero understeer, I think, yeah, from some little bit of dirty air. Obviously, it's not as much as open wheelers, but you still get dirty air from these things.
To me, it looked like a go-kart almost. Let's hop in on the nose of that car there.
Next lap's gonna be white flag, so you don't have to care about the tires right now.
Yeah, it's gonna be give it everything you got here. I love this view.
A little defensive. I think he knows that you got to be side by side in that point. He has to make sure that he doesn't get any oversteer in these next two turns.
Going to be a great graphic to watch this final part of the race.
Oh yeah, Patrick got a much better drive out of that. Steven's got you know, just a couple more opportunities. Turn one, you're only gonna have one more time because we're gonna start the white flag. So he's probably got like two real opportunities in this last lap and a tenth or so to be able to win this race.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh,
Oh, Steven goes wide. In.
Patrick went a little wide and he followed him.
Oh, no. Oh, where?
Patrick survives a scary moment there, and the race is decided before we even get to have that last lap.
Oh, we didn't make it to the final lap. So that is that for our E4A practice race this season. Wow.
Oh, that was the final.
Yep.
I expected to see a white flag on the graphics. My bad. So I understand. I understand the move that Steven was making there. He still finishes second. But wow, what a rousing finish.
Yeah, the white flag for I didn't even see it up there either, but usually where it says the race lap 34 and the timer, it should be white. I didn't see it be white. Maybe it was just in that like perfect time where it just decided that it was going to be the last lap. I'm not sure. But Steven Thompson just losing out.
Carroll was able to get the third in that damaged car.
Yeah, so let's go back and take a look at what happened there. Brad McCombs crashing after his pit stop. Not sure what he did. Looks like just overshot it in turn one and spun it. Okay, well, it lied. Zach Nurnberger had some sort of moment here in this fast right-hander. Just went off track. Lost a little time. That's what gave Nick Terrell that P3 as we see him go by there. And
five dents between them at the line.
Yeah, and then we'll see Steven Thompson's heartbreak. We were in the gyro for this when it happened in real time, but just goes a little too deep into that sand and he's gone. Luckily though, the gap behind was enough and he could hold on to it, but heartbreak for him. Let's take a look at our results.
Patrick got wiggly too, you know.
Yeah, Patrick Ripley takes that P1.
I called out that corner was going to be a problem, and the drivers, you know, they avoided it for a while.
Yep. Patrick takes P1. Steven Thompson follows him in P2. Nick Terrell, Zach Nurnberger, Brad McCombs, Andrew Neary, Paul Skip, and the DNF for Paul Boyle and Antoine DeCache. And, of course, myself, who registered incorrectly for the session. So, technically a DNS. So, what do you make of that race?
I didn't really know at any point who was going to win. I mean, I think multiple drivers seemed like certainly Paul Boyle early on, but whatever happened during that that whole pit cycle with the safety car, and then just a couple mistakes made after, it was a pretty unexpected finish, and I knew that all that needed to happen was just a minor mistake for positions to swap.
Yeah, it was super tight, and I mean, Paul Boyle had probably half the race at least up until that first safety car, and it was all downhill from there. I see him in the waiting room there. I'm gonna drag him in. We're gonna give him an interview. I'm not sure why he didn't win anything, but it's a consolation interview, I suppose. Paul Boyle, walk us through that race.
That felt really good for me. That first stint, kind of leading from the front and going on a tear, I was excited for it. And then pit cycles came and I kept it and we kept the lead. And then damn competition caution catches me out once again, pitting in a closed pit lane. Throws me to the back, throws me in the middle of the field, and apparently 2 a.m.'s not the right time to be racing side by side with 4 people, eh?
In Zandvoort, no less. But yeah, you had a really impressive first run. You know, you pulled out to a pretty comfy 3.5, 4 second lead, and were able to maintain that. I noticed that you were you feeling a little bit on the tires with a little bit of oversteer?
15 laps in, we pit for fuel, and my tires are already less than 60% worn. So, yeah, they are. The answer is yes. You only really had two hot laps in terms of qualifying, pace, and then you're immediately a second and a half slower. But fortunately, it was the same for everybody in every car. So it's definitely a tire management place, and keeping them cool is definitely the name of the game.
Yeah, it's not a surprise that we saw more mistakes as the race went on. Definitely lots of struggling with the tires. It was not the same cold temperatures we usually get in E4A, but still, though, a really good run. I think that you can, take a lot from that into our first week at Daytona next week. Is that a track that you're really confident with? Is it one that matches with your skill set?
Skill set wise, I'd have to say no. I'm definitely used to the slower speed sort of twisty turnies, as is so often in the E4A calendar. However, the Daytona is probably the exception to that rule, given the vast special events that get held there. My laps run at Daytona is probably one of the highest, so I'm looking forward to it, much really so.
Alrighty, well, thank you for giving us this interview. We're gonna see if Patrick Ripley wants to come and talk with us. But we'll see you next week, Paul.
Yeah, have a good night, guys.
You as well. Alrighty.
Drag him into the.
Yes, he's going to be abducted from this chat, as out of nowhere he's gone. Mr. Ripley.
Hello, gentlemen.
You want to walk us through that race?
Yeah, poor qualifying. A poor first stint, and got pretty lucky in the pit cycle. And then just had to hold on to Steven, and luckily he made a mistake, and that's that. That's my race pretty much.
I'm interested to know your how you were feeling when that safety car came out. I was actually I was watching you at that time, and I saw you were about to make a move for a pass right when that safety car got thrown.
Yeah, I knew the guys I was with, we were all about the same speed, so I figured I'd try and play a bit of a track racing game when it came out, so I wasn't terribly upset, you know. You get ahead of those guys, maybe lose out on tires, but be ahead of them. I didn't know how that was going to play out, but being so far back, it was worth the gamble, I think, so it all worked out.
It was really impressive last stint there. I mean, I would have to say that you and Steven were completely evenly matched. Really, the gap never got over like a second and a half. Definitely, you were hounding him through that last bit, and all it took was just going a little bit wide, and you were able to take advantage of that. So that was a really good move in a corner that's not necessarily like a common place to pass.
Yeah, I saw me a little wide, and I was thinking, okay, patient, whatever, just go for it. Being a preseason race, I wasn't really too concerned, but I think when points start becoming an issue, that probably won't make that move in the future.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And how prepared do you feel for the season? Do you feel like you can have a shot at the championship?
The problem always is how many races can I make with drop weeks, but I think if the races I'm actually there for, I can capitalize, and I think we have a good shot.
Yeah, and who do you think your biggest rival will be?
Well, I know there's a lot of guys not here right now, so the likes of Harry for sure. He won last year's championship, so obviously he's someone you'd want to chase.
Alrighty. Zach, you have any extra questions for him?
No, just commending you on that drive. I mean, maybe it's worth no points, but I think at least give you some excitement coming into the season.
Awesome, cool. Thanks, guys.
Have a good night, Patrick.
And let's talk to the maybe a little disappointed Stephen Thompson.
Alrighty. He's gonna get abducted as well. So we'll drag Patrick out of here. Steven,
Hello.
you've been abducted.
I've been abducted, yes. That was a very interesting event.
So I'm gonna ask you the same question I ask everybody. Can you walk us through that race for us?
Yeah, Paul said it really early on in practice, is that this is like one lap pace. So everyone had really good tires to start for like a lap and a half, and then once you got them up to speed, it's kind of like fall into line and use your momentum. ZP, I know you said you used your momentum track here earlier, but I think the front end of the BMW was just a little too weighty and it slid around a lot, but it had amazing power out of the last two corners and down the straight. So you could definitely get some hot laps in there, but as soon as you got into traffic or as soon as your tires started going, you either had to be really good on the brakes or you were just going to start sliding. So I think everyone kind of got shaken up there. We went from back to front for everyone else except for me. But it was still a good race. I think everyone was very respectful for the 10-car field.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't see really any big issues. No one was taking each other out. There was a couple like minor mistakes and some 0x collisions. But I mean, certainly, you and the BMW seemed to work well, especially out in front. You know, we noted that clearly the BMW and the AMG just had that better top speed. You know, like what was going through your head? You know, Patrick hounding you, like never got more than like a second and a half back for like those last 10 laps. Like, you know, were you feeling confident that you'd be able to stay in front? And then, you know, what kind of led to just went slightly wide in Scheiblack, and he was able to make a move.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting fuel calculation because we didn't expect 4-minute pace laps. So I was counting everyone down. It's like if you have 21 minutes of left, you're good on fuel. But I was like, I need this thing to be a little bit lighter, and because I think it was the weight transfer. So as soon as that thing goes light on fuel and it has somewhat decent tires, there's just like no way to keep it grounded through that turn. So if you hit the brakes at the wrong time, they slide, and then the only way to recover it's to scrub speed. So I wasn't even on the brakes when I was running wide. I was just like, if I brake, I'm going to slide the back end. So I'm just turning the wheel, trying to keep it on the edge and keep it straight to the curb. And I was saying, oh no, Patrick, this is running real wide. I just wanted to keep it on the track because I already ran wide under caution and in practice. But I think it was a good race by Patrick. We both just had really fast pace at different sectors. I'm interested to see the balance of power for these cars when we go track to track in the full season.
Yeah, certainly in that track, at least on like a single lap, it looked like those front engine cars were faster. I mean, certainly you could tell like when like Patrick and that Ferrari, you know, like had more pace on you, but a lot of times it was in the parts of the lap where you couldn't get by. So, I thought that you were in a pretty good position. I also have to ask, so on the last lap, was that actually a mistake made, or was that just you got to completely send it? You know, it's the last lap, last turn.
I told Patrick I was getting too greedy on the brakes, and that's how I made the mistake. And then I'm like, well, if I'm going to be greedy once, I might as well be greedy again. We were both sliding the tires coming out of every hairpin. But you're right about those curbs. I kind of did that to Patrick on lap 1, where if you take the inside curbs a little too tightly, there's no option for the guy behind. And that kind of goes for that hairpin chicane in the final sector. But yeah, you could run a lot of the little tarmac rumble strips on the inside of the curb, and I think I just barely missed. And because I was in the dirty air and Patrick had done the same thing, he ran a little bit wide, but he kept it on the curb in the rumble strips. And I'm just like, well, I'm not lifting. There's no reason to lift. It's last lap, and we have 30 seconds on the lead. I thought I killed the engine when I hit the inside wall, though, but it was just, why not just coast it home?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that he kept it on the track either. I had said, you know, in like the lead up, I was like, if you get your wheels in the dirt there, it's over. But somehow he got a wheel in and survived. But
and
sometimes that's how racing goes.
That's actually the strongest part of the track for the BMW is those final two turns. Is if you launch it through the second to last and get enough of a corner cut or enough of a rumble strip tarmac, you are full throttle, third, fourth gear through there. You do not lift. You scrub a little bit of speed on exit and just keep the wheel straight. It's almost like you're dirt tracking it anyways.
Alrighty, and Steven, how prepared do you feel for this season?
I'd probably be a part-time driver. I think I'll miss 4 races, not off the bat, but I know I'm obligated for 4 races already, and then the drop weeks, and then some of the ownership races. But I think I'll make some appearances. Hopefully, Team BMW turns out well this year. Really like to represent the BMW team. I know there's a lot of guys that know there's pace in it too.
Yeah, I think separately here on the broadcast, we're going to be tracking the manufacturer championship. So everybody, watch out for that. And when you do make a race, who do you think your biggest rival will end up being?
It's going to be track to track. I have, I think Mark cut Silverstone off the schedule, or there's some tracks on there that I am absolutely horrible on. The front end turn for the BMW is just bad. I'll expect to run mid pack. There might be a couple podiums depending on who gets lucky and how well I can pull off strategy. But it'll be a turnout from time to time, probably running just in front of the GTD guys. There will be some guys in the back of the GT Pro field that will at least keep pace with me. But I'm sure that we'll all find our rhythm eventually once we get to favorite tracks and hometown tracks.
Alrighty.
Well, it was a great race by you, and I think that you can take some confidence into the future races this next season that you are able to make.
Yep, I'll look forward to it.
Alrighty.
Thank you very much. You have a good one.
And I think we have one more person to interview here. The last season's GT4 runner-up who lost the championship by about, let's say 4/10, maybe, not even. And that man would be Zachary Nurnberger. Run us through your race.
Crash, spin, repair, crash, spin, avoid Nick.
Podium.
Podium, yeah.
Win.
Classic special. Yeah, kind of by default, but I'm not gonna complain about it.
Yeah. Well,
Obviously, you weren't able to really, compare yourself to any of the other GTD runners today, being the sole participant. But like, how are you feeling about this season? Like, do you think you'll be able to carry over that GT4 success that you had?
Yeah, I mean, I think I finished top 5 every season. Don't hold me to that. But I know Marcus isn't here anymore. He's moved up. A bunch of Paul's moved up. So, if I don't drive like I did today, obviously, not a lot of practice. It's just a fun race, etc., etc. But if I can take some of the quality races that I've had from all these seasons into the next season, then anything is possible.
Yeah, it may be a lot of new faces in the GTD field. Are you actually planning on using the McLaren for most of the season, or was that just kind of a one-off?
I don't know. I kind of like it. I wish if we got a new one, then maybe. But no, I always get bored, so I was just trying to run a little bit of everything. But I thought I popped in early because I was gonna bomb Steven's interview there. I did hear something about manufacturer points, so that's got me tempted. But
You may be the only person who's representing the McLaren.
well, someone's got to do it. But I really like the Lambo. So that's the BMW is always classic. So I guess we'll see. I want to try and get the Ford, but I think that's gonna do me more harm than good.
yeah, we do know how Mr. Nurnberger here likes to be different and run the car that nobody wants to drive. So in terms of the manufacturer championship, I think we'll see maybe like Audi and McLaren pop up with a few points here and there, but I don't know.
As much as I love the McLaren, though, it's a lot to deal with for an hour and 50 minutes of McLaren. I don't know.
Well, I think you certainly can be happy with the result of that race. Things worked out in your favor. How do you feel about Daytona? Is that with that being the first track on the calendar, is that a track that you're particularly good at? How do you feel about it?
I like Daytona. I just don't like when everyone just sits behind you, though. Because you know how it is.
Wastes your
Sometimes you just
fuel.
feel like you feel like you're so much faster, and everyone's just hanging on to your slipstream, saving fuel and stuff. So, if you can break away and use your actual pace advantage, but then again, other way around too, I guess. Sometimes you can hang on to someone a little faster rather than tow you away. So I guess that my enjoyment level will be dependent on if people are leeching off of me or if I can leech off of them. It's a lot more fun in one direction than the other. But Daytona's always a fun race. I feel like we've always have great finishes, like just drag race to the line. It's a classic track. Everyone knows it well. So hey, as long as you don't get slowdowns on the backstretch, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think Patrick said it earlier, much earlier, not in the interview, but he said, "But isn't racing only fun when you're winning?" And I think that's true for Daytona. where you really don't want to be ahead, or you really don't want to be in that ahead spot where you kind of have every opportunity to be overtaken in that straight.
Yeah. Reminds me of the advanced Mazdas when they went there. You know, I felt
Yes.
like I was so much faster than everyone, but you're basically just doing like NASCAR Daytona 500 down the backstretch. Everyone's wrecking into each other in the start finish line. And I'll tell you what, I won the race, and it was still like the most like frustrating thing ever, just because you got everyone sitting behind you the entire time. But it's always a fun one. Usually something always happens to my computer on Daytona, so I think I've only made 1 out of the 4. So let's hope we get off to a good start, though.
It'll be a good spectacle for the stream, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Alrighty. Well, I think that's all of our interviews for tonight. We will be back here in about 1 week on the 24th of August, live from Daytona, here with Mr. Zach
It'll be a
Purcell.
good one.
The field will be much bigger, the race will be much longer, and we'll see some real championship battles starting to go on. So check back in for there.
Stress will be a lot higher too. Oh boy.
Oh yes, and there will be real stress, not just, oh, this is a fun race. So yeah, 1 week from now at Daytona. Anybody have any final words?
Nope, it was a great race. Good to be in the booth.
Alrighty, see you later.